Hello, I'm Brad Abrams. I work on the Common Language Runtime team here at Microsoft. Today, we're going to talk about what WinFX is. You've heard the buzz in the industry press. You've seen the web bloggers talk about it. Now you can hear it from the source. Before we get into the details of WinFX, though, I wanted to talk about the history that led up to the development of WinFX. If you look back, it was in 1993 that we introduced the Win32 API. It was the first time we exposed it to developers, and we later shipped it with the Windows 95 release. So it's been well over 10 years since we introduced the Win32 API, and it's certainly time for us to refresh the developer view of the platform. The other interesting thing is that platforms live for a long period of time, so we have to make sure that as we build a new platform that it has a good longevity to it and it'll live for a long time. So what's WinFX? Well, WinFX is a object-oriented API that leverages the .NET framework and exposes the breadth of Longhorn, the breadth of the operating system to developers. And I'm super excited about this API because it's the first time we've really reinvigorated the core APIs to Windows, so application developers can access the breadth of Windows in a way that's object-oriented, which means that all the classes are available to subclass and extend, that you're able to customize solutions. It's available in managed code, and that gives you the security and the reliability and the robustness that you expect from managed code. And it's built on and extends the .NET framework. So if you're familiar with the .NET framework today, you're going to be right at home with WinFX. Let's take a minute and look at I love this WinFX name. It's very cool. It's got two parts to it. It's got the Windows part to it and the FX part to it, right? Pretty basic. So the Windows part to it really speaks to the heritage of WinFX. It comes from the Win32 and the Win16 days, where these APIs were the way all applications for Windows were built. So that gives you the Windows part's a nice progression: Win16, Win32, WinFX. And the FX part, FX speaks to a framework. It speaks to the heritage of WinFX from the .NET framework. So if you're familiar with the .NET framework and you're writing code on the .NET framework today, then you're going to be very comfortable on WinFX when you move to it in the future. So now we're going to go and take a look at a poster that we're giving out at the PDC, and you can find them online on the Longhorn Dev Center if you want to take a look at that. So this poster gives you a high-level overview of the namespaces and very key types that are available in WinFX. Along the top here, what you see is the primary application models, the different kinds of applications that you can build when you're building an application on this new WinFX API set. And we're going to drill into each one of these in just a minute. The rest of the poster is separated into four key parts. First, the three pillars of presentation, data, and communication. If you think about it, every one of your applications, every application is made up of some part of presentation, how you interact with users, some part of data, how you work with data or XML, how you read and write information, and communications, how you get that from your node on the network to somebody else's node on the network. And then there's a fundamentals block, and the fundamental block contains all the infrastructure that's available ubiquitously. Okay, let's drill in a little more detail so you can see the kind of functionality that's available in WinFX. So first, then, the client application model. If you're building an application that runs on the client and leverages the power of the client operating system, we have the Windows Forms functionality that you know and love today from the .NET framework. And in addition, for building Longhorn applications that run on Longhorn, we have the Avalon functionality, and it's in the system.windows namespace. And then for web and services applications, we have ASP.NET and a new technology for web services called Indigo. And they both share the same underlying application model in the system.web namespace. Next, we have the data systems. With the work that we're doing in Yukon to enable you to write stored procedures, manage code in the database with UDTs, Yukon has become a great application model for the breadth of WinFX. And in addition, we're introducing a new abstraction for storage of data in the file system called WinFS, which gives you access to your everyday information right out of the database in the OS. And then there's the mobile and devices application model, and these are parts of the application model that are available to you if you're building applications for small devices, or if you're building applications for devices that have to work in a disconnected state with limited power supply. Okay, so now let's drill into the heart of the namespaces and see what's here. The first thing you'll notice is the system.windows namespace. This contains the sub namespaces and core types for Avalon, which is the new presentation subsystem for Windows. It's available on the Longhorn operating system and is the primary way to build these first-class client applications for Longhorn. And of course, we have the other parts of the presentation that you know and love from the .NET framework today. System Windows Forms, which is for building client applications that have to run on the full range of Windows operating systems. System Web UI gives you the ASP.NET projected UI view. Next, we'll drill over to data, and we'll talk about system.data is the ADO.NET stack. That's the ADO.NET stack that you know and love today, and I'm happy to announce that even in WinFX, we have not changed the data model. And then we are introducing a new namespace in WIDBE called Object Spaces, which gives you an objective view of data so that you can access the rows and columns of the database in terms of objects and methods on those objects, rather than having to understand the schema of the database. The next thing we want to look at is WinFS. Now, WinFS is represented in this namespace, and as I mentioned earlier, WinFS is a really modernizing of the Windows file system. And what it gives you is we've taken the relational asset of SQL Server and we've put it into the operating system so that it's available for a broad range of applications to use. And then we'll look over at the communication stack. You can see we have a wide variety of functionality available for you to use for communications from one node on the network to another node on the network. The first thing you'll recognize or that will catch your attention is system.collaboration. This is where we're adding collaborative support into the core parts of the operating system. Then I'll highlight system.messageBus, and system.messageBus is the functionality for Indigo, and it's for building service-oriented applications. That is, applications that share contracts over the net. And then we have system.net, which is the core functionality for accessing network resources at a much lower level. Well, that gives you a very high-level overview of WinFX. Over the next few weeks, you're going to see lots more information on each one of these areas. But if you're a .NET Framework developer, you're probably interested in understanding how the .NET Framework relates to WinFX that we just talked about. The important thing to realize is that WinFX embraces and extends the .NET Framework. 100% of the .NET Framework is included in WinFX, and we're carrying that forward in Longhorn. So just like your existing Win32 applications will work great on Longhorn, your .NET Framework apps will work great on Longhorn with WinFX as well. So you can think of the .NET Framework as being the redistributable subset of WinFX. Think of WinFX is being closely tied with the Longhorn operating systems and future operating systems, and the .NET Framework is being that subset of WinFX that can go down level. So, just to summarize where we are, WinFX gives developers a broad new developer surface for all of Windows. It's a modern, object-oriented API that we spent literally thousands of hours already designing to ensure that it fits in nicely with the .NET Framework and is very easy to use. And the best way to prepare for Longhorn and to prepare for WinFX going forward is to build on the .NET Framework today. Thank you.